Hi, I'm Roger. I'm with Page at House of Brews.
I have a relatively small system, 10-barrel brew house.
I'm with Isaac at Octopi Brewing
It's a 50-barrel, 3-vessel brew house from Isaac Showaki.
to talk a little bit about Contract Brewing.
I had started as a one-man operation, and it was really hard for me to both make the beer, run the company, and then try to go out and sell it. So Contract Brewing presented an easier solution to that dilemma. It's kind of efficient in that if one company's making it and one company's selling it, both companies have less to do. They can focus on fewer things and maybe what they're better at.
Other breweries that don't have excess capacity or that they can't brew at their place or they want to expand, they come to us and we help them do the recipes. Or it could be a startup that has a great idea but they don't want to have to invest all the money into building a production facility. They come to us and we help them do the reality. Or the third segment would be like retail chains like big grocery stores or hotel chains that want to do their own product with their own brand. We can do it for them here.
It does allow them to devote more resources to selling and marketing, which is becoming more and more important as the field gets more and more crowded. To do a lot more to get people's attention, you have to push a lot harder to get on tap and on shelves. It's kind of a different game from even 5-6 years ago.
You've got a lot of microbrews coming up with some really nice, unique beers, and of course they're competing with the big boy out there.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how does this model support that or help maybe keep things going? Because it's got to be, there's always challenges.
I think Contract Brewing supports the model. Like right now, like the market's getting pretty competitive. There's a lot of, talk about like market saturation, and there's a lot of, a lot of new brands coming out. What I tell my clients is that in today's world, you're no longer competing against the little brew pub or the little brewery down the road. You're competing against like top craft brands all over the world. Like you're in the same shelf space, you're going to find your New Belgiums, your Sierra Nevadas, your Sam Adams, your Dogfish, etc. And you have to make a product as good as them. I think the days like that maybe happened 6, 7, 8 years ago where you could get away with, a little less quality beer and because you were, local and everybody liked you and they would, buy your stuff because you were local. I think those days are gone. I think today, like either, you have to compete at the same level or you're just going to get left behind.
With some of them, there's also quite a bit of coaching, as it were, about the business, what I've learned, so they don't hopefully make the same mistakes. The more successful they can be, the better it is for me.
So you can make the mistakes first.
Yeah, well, I have made them, and it's to my benefit to have them be successful.
So I think the challenge for Contract is we have the equipment and the facility, and we also have the people to run it to give you the product that's going to be great, free from defects, that's going to be brewed to spec, that's going to be a great product in the bottle that can compete with the big guys out there.
Where and how to sell, and even when a brand is thinking about signing with a distributor.
Is this a new model? I mean, or is this is something that's been going on for years or recently?
Like one of the pioneers of Contract or the people that started it was, for example, Sam Adams. Back at the time, they didn't have a facility and they were the first craft beer, and everything was contract brewed. Another one, Pabst. Pabst is contract brewed in all over the U.S. at Miller facilities. There's many brands that have been contract brewed for many years that either people know or don't know about.
So a lot of them are actually just brewers themselves that do use excess brewing time to brew for other people then?
Yeah, correct. Well, there's many brewers that actually do contract, but it's not, I don't call it true contract. If you have a little bit excess capacity and you go there and they brew for you, great. But at Octopi, like, this is our main business. Like, we're all about contract brewing.
And what's the perception from the consumers, the beer drinkers?
Most don't even realize it and or are fine with it. But the vast majority don't look that deep into where a beer came from. I mean, contract brewing has been around a long time. People aren't as concerned with that as they are with what the beer tastes like.
I think at the end of the day, it's all about the liquid. Like, if the beer is good, It doesn't matter where it was brewed. What it's cool about us is that, yeah, if you're a small brewer and you want to contract somewhere else, like we have a state-of-the-art facility with German equipment that's fully automatic, that's completely brand new, and we also have a great staff that has over 35 years of commercial brewing experience that can help you, get your recipes at a, way better than you were expecting. So for us, it's most of the clients that we work with, they're actually like, we're at least getting their beer as good as they make it, but most of the times we even make it better, which is great.
So you're optimized for a certain size brewer then?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I have a relatively small system, 10-barrel brew house, so that small batch allows people that are interested in getting into the business a small, lower cost of entry.
Well, it is helpful because people don't have to go out and buy their own equipment to get started, so you can pretty much start. I mean, I've got somebody.
Several $100,000. Yeah.
That's a little bit of a chunk of change there.
I've formulated recipes from the ground up for the hop garden, for instance, where he's growing hops, and having a beer line is a great way to sell hops. And he was a home brewer, so he has an idea or had ideas about what beer styles he wanted to do.
I'm with Rich Joseph from the Hop Garden. He's both a hop grower and has his own tap room where he contracts out beer. And what made you decide to get into contract brewing?
Well, it's the most economical way to actually get some product on the shelves. So we wanted to have our own brewing company, using our own hops, the whole farm to glass concept. And so to do that, this is the most economical way to do it. Instead of buying all the systems ourselves, we can work with Page here and brew smaller batches.
What is the smallest batch that you'll brew, or the largest batch, or whichever?
So the smallest batch, we have a 50-barrel system. So the smallest batch is around 50 barrels, which is 1,500 gallons, around 1,500 gallons of beer, which if you package it, it's going to be around 600 cases, 24 bottles per case. Our biggest batch, we're currently doing for our client about 300 barrels of the same beer every month.
Okay, so you've been at it for a year now. So what have you learned in the year, and what were the surprises?
We've learned a lot. Primarily we've learned how to operate as a state-of-the-art and contract class brewery. We've learned our system. We feel now very, very extremely comfortable with the way we brew things. We know what we're going to expect. We know our efficiencies. We've been brewing over 42 styles of beers using 8 different yeast strains. So we're extremely flexible and capable, and understanding the different yeasts, how they act, and different ways we ferment. And every few months we have some challenges that we have to overcome, which is interesting because we dig into it and then we come up with even better solutions that we had before. Because for us it's all about getting better and better and better with each and every batch that we do.
So what have you learned over the years here? Ups and downs, whatnots, what not to do, what to do?
It's a pretty tough business. I've run into a lot of folks who are just curious and looking into potentially contract brewing with me, and often it's someone who was a home brewer and did pretty well, either in competitions or their friends really liked their beer and they thought it would be fun, and it's a cool business. And then the more you look into it, you realize there's a pretty hard business side, and marketing especially. The brewery is, and the beer is the cart, and the sales and marketing is the horse. It's like the biggest lesson that I've learned.
I started in this industry 12 years ago, specifically the craft brewing industry about 7 years ago. And you have no idea how it's changed. Like when I had my first brewery in Chicago, we were number 5th to open in the whole state. I think right now there's over 160 breweries in Chicagoland, just there. Wisconsin also is seeing its beer renaissance of craft beer. You've seen 8 new breweries open up in Milwaukee and several more in Madison. So I think it's an interesting time to be a brewery. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges ahead. I think our primary challenge is to put good beer out there. Like, I think quality is number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of importance for the craft beer world, and just keep it interesting and keep it going. I think it's wonderful to have variety and differences and come up with new stuff in the craft beer world.
I homebrewed for 17 and a half years prior to starting House of Brews. I was approached by another brewery, Mobcraft, who wanted to start up within another brewery. They did pretty good. Their business grew. From there, I got approached by a few more people, and it just kind of built.
So I guess that leads me maybe to the last question. Where do you see things going for contract brewing, maybe more especially than just the craft beer industry itself, but as they relate?
Well, contract, I am able to fill in for a bigger brand that maybe wants to try some small batch experimental stuff to meet that part of the market that wants something new and different, but they don't want to, try a huge batch on their system, which may be, 2, 3, 4 times as big as mine.
Well, I appreciate taking the time, and
Sure.
I guess thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers, whatever. Well, I appreciate your time, Isaac. Informative.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.